Hi guys, Alec, Peirce, Vintage Scuba. Here we are again. As I'm rooting around in my boxes and boxes and boxes of vintage scuba gear, I came across a box that was filled with comics. And I remembered, boy oh boy, that was great fun in the 50s and the 60s and even into the early 70s. There were comics about scuba diving. I don't see them anymore. Wow, there's comics these days, but they're all about, who's that guy, Spider-Man? Yeah, whatever. Some fictional guy, not real things, not like scuba diving. Anyway, yeah, there were a lot of comics for scuba divers. So when I was a kid, you know, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 years old, boy, these comic books were a big deal. And I got them all, every one I could find. And the ones I couldn't find when I was a kid, I found when I was an old man. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few just for fun. Okay, Scuba Comics. I don't know what you want to call this episode, Kevin, but Scuba Comics that you probably have never seen and maybe never will see. Here's a perfect example. We'll start off with this one because I had this in the thumbnail, and it's a pretty nice one. It has everything that a good scuba story needs, right? Scuba divers, knives, and a pretty girl. Emphasis on the pretty girl in this particular case. All right, so there you go. And this is a story about a couple of scuba divers, and they do this and they do that, and she helps them and doesn't help them and gets into trouble and everything else. Just a great, great scuba comic. Single issue. This is this one called Dolphin. Single issue scuba comic put out by DC Comics, 12 cents. Worked a long time to get 12 cents. And on the back, they have the usual slot cars. Remember slot cars? Yeah, they were really good. So there you go. There's a great example of an early scuba comic. Now, there's lots of them. I have lots of them. We'll leave that for a minute. The Aquanauts. The Aquanauts was a well-known TV program, and they had their own comic put out. These two guys, I forget their names now, but they were a couple of well-known, good-looking actors back then. Not Stack. I don't think it was Robert Stack, I don't think. I forget the names now, but the Aquanauts. Well-known TV show. And there's the comic, single-issue comic called The Aquanauts, another great one. Okay? The Underwater City. Now, The Underwater City was actually a movie. I guess it was a book first, and then it was a movie. And so as a result of the movie being very popular, they had a single-issue comic produced called The Underwater City. And again, I forget who the actors were in this. I can look them up, of course. Oh, this is later. 15 cents for that Dell comic. What else? Oh, here's a good one. This is a really good one. Around the World Under the Sea. Now, that was a book, a well-known book. I forget who wrote the book now. Jules Verne? No, not Jules Verne. Somebody. And anyway, they made a movie. And the movie was quite popular. I liked the movie for many, many reasons. It was very, very exciting. Around the World Under the Sea. It was pretty neat. They ran into all kinds of creatures and places and stuff like that. But there were a couple of actors on there who you know. Yeah. One of the actors is Lloyd Bridges. Yep, the famous Lloyd Bridges. Mike Nelson of Sea Hunt. And of course, Lloyd Bridges played in many, many, hundreds of other movies and TV programs. Quite a famous actor. And of course, his two sons now, Jeff Bridges and Bo Bridges, and their grandchildren. I've seen Jordan Bridges, met him and talked to him. Jordan Bridges, a fine actor as well. And the other actor in there that you know? Yes. What's his name? David McCallum. Yeah, not David McCallum. What's his name in NCIS?
Yeah.
Man
from Uncle.
Hey?
Man from Uncle.
No. What's in NCIS? What's he called? Doctor? I forget. Anyway. Ilya Kuryakin. Yeah. He's still alive. Lloyd Bridges is unfortunately gone, but Ilya Kuryakin is still alive. A very, very well-known actor. Did some great work. So there's another movie. Now here's one. I don't think that this was a movie or a TV show. There was a movie called The Deep, but it had no relationship to this. But there's a comic called The Deep. And it's got all the same things that you need: scuba divers, knives, and pretty girls. Another single issue. By single issue, I mean there's only one comic ever came out called The Deep. There it is. Okay, now there were also more than a few multiple issues. I don't need to talk to you about Sea Hunt at this point, because if you want to know about Sea Hunt, there were 13 issues of Sea Hunt in North America, hundreds of additional issues around the world, many variations of this comic. My collection of Sea Hunt comics has 63 comics in it, all different. Each one is different. If you want to know about Sea Hunt, they show that probably the biggest positive effect on scuba diving of any show, much more than Jacques Cousteau or any other show, Sea Hunt with Lloyd Bridges as Mike Nelson, then you should go to one of my playlists called Sea Hunt Remembered. As soon as you finish watching this, go to Sea Hunt Remembered. And there's an episode in there about the comics, right? Pretty sure there is. You realize about that. That's a set of 13, but there is Mike Nelson, the quintessential Mike Nelson. So that is a series. Now here's another series, better known perhaps, Voyage to the Deep. This is a set of 4. This is a set of 4. Voyage to the Deep. So there are 4 comics in this particular series. Voyage to the Deep. And Voyage to the Deep. And there's a pretty cool one right there, I'll tell you that. I haven't met one of those. Voyage to the Deep and Voyage to the Deep. Series of 4, Voyage to the Deep. You can just imagine, look at these pictures. Imagine how exciting that was for a 10-year-old to read this stuff. Now you know why I wanted to be a frogman so badly. Some of you may remember Primus. Primus was a short-lived, unfortunately, a short-lived TV program starring Robert Brown. One of the interesting things about the TV program is that the TV program was from Ivan Tors of Ziv Productions. Now, who the heck is Ivan Tors? Well, Ivan Tors of Ziv Productions produced Sea Hunt. Yeah. He also produced a dozen other fantastic TV programs, Flipper, and on and on, a lot of them. And one of the TV programs they had that maybe didn't do quite as well as some of the other ones was a TV program called Primus, starring Robert Brown. And this was a series, I think this was a series of 7 comics starring Primus. So you see that in most cases, on the front cover, there is an actual photograph of the actor, Robert Brown. Not this one, and not this one. And not that one. But anyway, some of them do, as with Sea Hunt, they're actual photographs of Lloyd Bridges. And Primus, a little bit like Lloyd Bridges in Sea Hunt, a little bit like Mike Nelson in Sea Hunt. Got into various adventures, or misadventures maybe is better, and then using his skill as a scuba diver, got through them. Not too well known, unfortunately, but another one of those series. Okay, here's one here that'll be exciting for you. Here's a set you haven't seen. Underwater Agent. Yeah, this is a set of 16 or 14. Underwater Agent. I think it's 14 in this particular set. So there's a whole bunch of them in here, and they're all just as exciting as the first one there. Can you see that okay, Kev? I can't quite see that. Is that working okay? See the different pictures on here? All called Underwater Agent. Yeah. And they had all those great ads on the back from those old days. How to hypnotize. Complete fishing outfit. 411 pieces for $12. These weren't published yesterday. Anyway, and there you go there. Underwater Agent. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. Six. Is that all there was in that? Okay, 6 in Underwater Agent. I'll leave those right there. Oh, now here's one that I'm sure you must have heard of. And there are 16 in this particular set. This was a well-known movie and subsequent TV program. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Oh, yeah. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. This was the first issue. There were 16 in this issue. 16. I'm going to show you a couple of the more exciting ones. This is one here. I mean, you just imagine. I'm 10 years old, right? And I'm walking past the comic stand. I want to be a frogman, and I see this. You're right. Yeah, I bought it. Exciting stuff. Really, got it? Really exciting stuff. No, look at that. Oh boy, oh boy. And there's the submarine that they use, another exciting one. I don't know who this giant guy is there trying to eat the submarine, but boy, oh boy, it was pretty fantastic stuff. By fantastic, I mean it was fantastical. Hard to understand. Hard to believe, you know, but the stuff today, Batman and Spider-Man. So these are no more fantastical than what's on today. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, check that out. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, there's some kind of super sea creature not being a very nice guy. Voyage to the bottom of the sea. Voyage to the bottom of the sea. Voyage to the bottom of the sea. Oh, that's great. A giant red seahorse. Whoa, that's got to be scary. And on it goes. 16 comics entire in the Voyage to the bottom of the sea. Giant whale, octopus, and on it goes. Voyage to the bottom of the sea. Fantastic. Underwater agent. Okay, now this is kind of interesting. There were 2 sets that were about frogmen. Frogmen, you know. Navy guys. Usually frogmen, in most people's minds, my own included, usually means Navy men. Although this particular series called The Frogmen was maybe a little more personal. You see the good-looking woman in that particular one, good-looking girl in there, and the divers and the spear guns and octopus, all that kind of stuff. So there's a set of, I think, 12 called The Frogmen. The Frogmen. Look at that. Look at that. How could any kid resist? How could you resist this kind of stuff, eh? The Frogmen. But what was kind of interesting to me is there's another series of comics. Yeah. The Frogman. Now this was actually more military. This is more like a frogman. He was actually fighting enemy agents and ships and battles and so on. The Frogman. So there's another 8 in this particular series. The Frogman. Right on there. They had in the back. Check the kind of body you want. Charles Atlas will give it to you. 21 lessons, just $1.95 each, or whatever. And good old ads. I gained 60 pounds of muscle. Good stuff. Great stuff. There you go, guys. I thought I'd share that with you. I got such a kick. I took these out, and I said to myself, I'm going to read all those comics again. Not likely. But it sure brought back some fantastic memories of my early years in scuba diving, and I thought I'd share that with you. Maybe some of you have these comics at home, or you remember them. Anyway, there you go. Some comics from the early days of scuba. Hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you soon. Alec Peirce, Scuba. Vintage Scuba.